Throughout history, civilizations have risen, flourished, and ultimately disappeared. Some left behind clues about their fate, while others simply vanished, leaving modern-day experts to puzzle over their mysterious declines. From the Vikings of Greenland to the mighty Assyrians, the civilizations discussed here offer a glimpse into the complexity of ancient societies and the enduring mysteries of their downfall. The fall of the Greek monarchy in 63 BC. The fall of the Greek monarchy is a significant turning point in ancient history. By 63 BC, Greece was in turmoil, unable to maintain unity within its territories. Internal power struggles weakened the monarchy, with rulers fighting amongst themselves. While these conflicts unfolded, the Romans were growing in strength and expanding their empire. Eventually, Rome seized the opportunity to bring Greece under its control, marking the end of Greek independence and the beginning of Roman dominance in the region. The vanishing Vikings of Greenland. In 982 AD, a Viking named Eric the Red, who had been exiled from Iceland for murder, led a fleet of 25 boats to the remote island of Greenland. There, he established two Viking settlements, the eastern settlement, located paradoxically near the southwest tip of the island, and the western settlement, approximately 404 miles to the north. Around 500 settlers, mainly chieftains and wealthy farmers, arrived with Eric and set up farmsteads, built Christian churches, and started a new life on the icy land. The Vikings hunted caribou and seals, fished, and kept livestock such as cattle, sheep, and goats. The eastern settlement grew to include around 500 farms, while the western settlement housed around 100 farms. At their peak, the Greenlandic Vikings boasted a population of around 5,000 people. However, by 1721, when Norwegian missionary Hansi Gira arrived in Greenland, the Viking settlements were in ruins and devoid of inhabitants. What happened to these once thriving communities remains one of the greatest unsolved mysteries of history. Some experts point to a mini ice age triggered by a volcanic eruption in Indonesia in the late 13th century, which caused harsh environmental conditions. Evidence shows that the Vikings in northern Greenland adopted a more marine-based diet during this period, indicating that their livestock had died off and they were struggling to survive. Yet, others argue that climate change alone cannot explain their disappearance. Some Vikings may have returned to Europe, while others might have succumbed to famine or conflict. Despite numerous theories, the fate of Greenland's Vikings remains an enigma. The Gira civilization, a forgotten ancient society. Around the early Bronze Age, a civilization as mysterious as it was advanced emerged in what is now Iran. Nestled in the Hal River Valley and surrounded by rugged mountains, the Gira culture built an urban settlement that included two large burial mounds, a fortified citadel, and numerous smaller buildings. Their society was highly developed for its time, with a strong emphasis on religion and artistry. The Gira people crafted fine vases, statuettes, and other artifacts, indicating a sophisticated lifestyle. For reasons unknown, this civilization reached its peak between 2500 BC and 2200 BC before mysteriously collapsing. Over time, the Gira settlements were abandoned and forgotten, buried under dirt and debris. Rediscovered in the early 20th century, the Gira archaeological sites have since been looted, leaving modern-day researchers with limited artifacts and even more limited knowledge of this enigmatic society. What little remains suggests that the Gira people had their own unique architecture, language, and a writing system consisting of geometric figures, but much about their culture remains lost to time. The Kerma civilization, a Nubian powerhouse. The Kerma civilization, one of the earliest in Africa, began around 5,500 years ago in what is now Sudan. The capital city of Kerma was a bustling urban center and one of the largest archaeological sites in ancient Nubia, a region known for its wealth in gold, incense, and ivory. By 1700 BC, Kerma had become a powerful city, housing at least 10,000 residents and acting as the regional hub for trade and culture. Kerma's society was advanced, with a royal audience hall, mud brick temples, palaces, and massive burial sites. Archaeological findings show a strong Egyptian influence in Kerma's art and religious practices, suggesting cultural exchanges between the two civilizations. However, Kerma's relationship with Egypt eventually soured, leading to the Egyptians sacking the city around 1500 BC. Although Kerma survived this attack, it was never the same, and over time, the city's power and influence waned. The lost civilization of Etruria. Etruria, which emerged around 900 BC in what is now Tuscany and Umbria in central Italy, was one of the dominant cultures of the time. The Etruscans were a sophisticated people, known for their trade connections with faraway civilizations like Egypt, the Greeks, and the Phoenicians. Etruria was organized into a confederation of 12 city-states, and by 650 BC, it had extended its influence over much of northern and southern Italy. Etruria had a strong military tradition, often embarking on raids to acquire territory, goods, and slaves. The Etruscan society valued family life and gave women an unusual degree of freedom for the time, which may have contributed to the Roman and Greek perception that Etruscan women were promiscuous. The Etruscans also had a profound influence on early Roman culture, contributing to Roman architecture, religion, and governance. As the Roman Republic grew in power, it absorbed Etruria in the 3rd century BC, leading to a merging of the two cultures. Despite this integration, much of Etruscan history remains shrouded in mystery, with gaps in knowledge about their architecture, language, and literature. The rise and fall of Assyria. One of the most formidable ancient empires, Assyria began as a dependency of Babylonia as far back as the 2nd millennium BC. Located in what is now northern Iraq and southeastern Turkey, Assyria rose to prominence as a powerful military state, with impressive technological advancements and architectural achievements. By the 14th century BC, Assyria had become independent, rapidly expanding its influence and conquering neighboring civilizations. Its military prowess, wealth, and technological innovations helped Assyria dominate Mesopotamia for nearly 1,800 years. Despite its might, the Assyrian Empire eventually fell in 612 to 609 BC, after being destroyed by a coalition of Chaldean and Median forces. Following the death of its last great leader, Ashurbanipal, the once great empire entered a dark period. While researchers know that Assyria faced numerous conflicts during this time, the details of its final downfall remain somewhat unclear. The Vinca civilization, a cradle of European culture. The Vinca civilization, dating back to 7000 BC, was a Neolithic culture that thrived in parts of southeastern Europe, including modern-day Serbia, Kosovo, Bulgaria, Romania, and Macedonia. Often referred to as the cradle of European civilization, the Vinca built some of the largest prehistoric settlements in the region. The Vinca people were not politically unified but maintained cultural ties through long-distance trade. They developed a rudimentary writing system, created anthropomorphic and zoomorphic figures, and made significant advancements in agriculture, including the use of the plow. Despite flourishing for thousands of years, the Vinca civilization mysteriously disappeared, leaving behind settlements that show evidence of occupation for over 1,000 years. Conclusion: the enduring mysteries of ancient civilizations. From the Vikings of Greenland to the powerful Assyrians and the mysterious Vinca, many ancient civilizations rose to great heights before falling into obscurity. While some vanished due to environmental changes, internal strife, or external conquest, the exact causes behind the collapse of others remain unknown. These lost societies continue to captivate modern historians and archaeologists, leaving us to wonder what truly happened to these once great civilizations. The artifacts, ruins, and legends they left behind serve as reminders of the fragility and complexity of human societies throughout history.